What I do is I, as far as beats go, I don't let anybody change a grace note. Not a flam, not a drum, nothing.
Wow.
Not a dynamic, nothing. So, and the reason is because no, we can talk about it. And if there's a change, I will more than happy change it. But I'm not going to put that in the hands of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a trust factor. It's just that's just my thing. It's just what I do. And I'm gonna go way back here. When I first started writing for Mystique, I aged out in '99. In 2000, I picked up the visual program after the opener, and then in '01 was the Gladiator year, and that was my first show. I did top to bottom with visually. I wasn't writing the beats yet. I was writing some licks, but the next year I wrote everything, the beats and the visual from '02 on, and then. But those '02 and '03, I let the quads come up with their own splits. I would write the rhythms out.
Yeah.
But I would let them do their thing and some spots for the basses and that kind of thing. Well, just because I wasn't confident, I wasn't a quad player, you know what I'm saying? So I would kind of let those guys, and that was me being young and just like, yeah, let's all do it, you know? Well, what ended up happening was the quad parts are too hard because everything was a scrape.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing really flowed with the voicings of the basses or just the voicing of the ensemble and the direction of it. And basically '04, Seven Deadly Sins is the first year that I said, nope, my quad parts, get out of my yard. And then, and ever since then, everything's been more cohesive and whatnot. And that's just that's me learning to trust myself, you know, with the quad stuff and whatnot. And ever since then, that's just our flavor, you know. I recognize that there's some quad players out there, the other groups that have way flashier quad lines sometimes. I recognize that. That's fine. We have a musical quad line, you know, and that's what we hang our hat on. And we do flashy stuff. And I will ask those guys for that kind of stuff. Hey, what can we do here? Can we do something cool here? And then I'll figure it out, or I'll write maybe a sketch and maybe let the quads do some kind of cool split stuff for a moment, you know, but it's definitely going to be a coordinated thing and we'll work it out. Now, visually, what we do is we will find a motif, like for instance, New Tribe. We found an old video of a reenactment of the dance to Rite of Spring,
Mm-hmm.
and we took a lot of those bird movements they were doing and just some of the choreography and kind of made our own vocabulary out of it. And then we stuck to that because we felt that fit our New Tribe vibe, you know, and then we kind of wrote around that. And then for Mantra, what we did was we hired a local yogi to come in and teach us poses and transitions to things that fit that genre of music that we were doing. And then we used those choreographed poses or styles to fill our show up with. And so and we do that with every single show we do. Like, okay, this show's about this. What's our visual hook? You know,
Right.
And clearly Hand to Man was the reach. It was, you know, it was a lot of things that kind of go in with that specific character. And when we do that, that's what gives our visual choreographer, who's Jeff Watkins, who's alumni Mystique's been there forever, gives him that anchor and vocabulary and parameters to kind of fit everything where it needs to be. And you know, it's all about the nuances and the layers. And if we can add those layers that go with music, and that visual layer actually matches the whole show concept, then it just adds that intellectual layer that some groups don't have.
Right.
But yeah, Jeff, I mean, the visual thing is definitely something that Jeff has grown into, and probably like myself, you see a void in an organization and a responsibility to fill it, and he stepped up and swung. So,
Right.
He's been killing it.
And no dip in quality, and there's no seam between however that was happening. And like, I think last year arguably was like that next step up for MCM. It's not like, oh, you know, we're changing a little bit, changing the guard or whatever. It's like, I mean, I think you said it very early in the call, was like X amount, 5 people that have ever been inside the organization didn't march there. So that's like, so so important to what you end up seeing at finals that I think people don't always understand is like this group, the commitment from the individuals who have graced the floor of this group. It's like it's a family, you know. It's literally like a family tree, and you know, you marched MCM. I mean, you were a member of MCM. Carl Epler, who marched in the 2001 Gladiator show, is still servicing the group in the ways that he does. I'm not exactly sure what he does now, but
he's the president of our board. He services, yeah. So
wow,
yeah, he's our lawyer. He's the president of the board. He does a lot of things.
Yeah.
Carl, we marched together in '97 and '98. Carl was in high school at the time, along with a few of our other friends that we recruited that year, and. Of the 5 years that I marched, we three-peated in '96, '7, and '8, and Carl was definitely a part of that, and just to have him come back to the organization in March, and then of course he was on staff. Him and Tim Maynard were on staff for a good decade or so, who helped really put our mark on the playing side, because like every independent group when we first started, it was raw.
Yeah.
You know, we had a lot of passion, but boy was it raw. And the older the group got and the more mature our staff got, because they went out and marched the vanguards, the cadets, and they came back and they brought all that talent back to Mystique. That's why Mystique is what it is today. I could design the best show in the world, but it does not matter if you didn't have those people that set up that educational foundation that we're still living and breathing with.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I mean, the staff that we have now, like Ben Lupton, Jeff, and they've been there for over 10 years.
Right.
You know, as members and whatnot. I can tell you, in our first 15 years of the group, it was not uncommon to have 6 to 10 year vets. Like this is what we had all the time.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just wasn't uncommon. Now we're lucky to get 4. 4 was just like, dude, you're super vet.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, just because of the age at which it takes people to be at the quality to make the group now, you know, and so that's just kind of what it is. But we're lucky to have them every year. Speaking of members and impacts somebody has, I want to talk about one person. Excuse me. His name is Ben Brizendine. He his brother, their family's been in Mystique for at least a decade or so. His older brother was in the pit. Ben came to Mystique. I think he was going to do the pit stuff too, but I'm not sure where his instrument skills were lying. But he designs the lights for us. So he was a member, and we started that in 2016. And we're like, hey, we've got this guy who's just like this whiz at these light shows. And I saw some videos that he did. You know, like Christmas shows at his house with the, you know, radio in the neighborhood, whatever. I was like, dude, this guy's got some talent. Well, dude, 2016 on, he's been a member and building and designing these lights. Like, he just aged out this past year, but he'll be back another year, you know.
Right.
But how it works is like he's got the knowledge and, you know, everything he does, but he also performs it. But like, we'll set the show and be like, hey, Ben, I need the lights to do this. Can this happen? He's like, oh yeah, no problem. Get a program and do it. So the fact that we have those type of tools at our disposal is why we are the way we are. It's not always coming from the design team. It's like, if I find a talent, we're going to use and abuse it. You know, I don't care if this dude is only 17 years old. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? He's very talented. We're going to get after it. So, it's been a huge asset to us, and we're hopefully going to keep using it, you know, in the future. So,
kind of related. I know it's hard to say where things are going, and we don't know what even the upcoming season is really going to look like, you know, the structure, when we could start and just all that. But, you know, in your mind, if everything goes like perfectly, you know, for you, where do you feel like the future of Mystique is headed? Like, what is your ideal destination, or what is your ideal vision for the group as it goes forward?
Like in the world of COVID?
No, just you know, let's say
in general.
Yeah, we get past this, and you know, I think, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to pontificate about that, but just, you know, from your standpoint as someone who's been a career member of the group, like what do you hope to see with the group?
We're going to keep doing what we do. I know it sounds like a vague thing, but like we are going to continue to stretch the boundaries as much as we can within our own wheelhouse, just as any group can do within their own wheelhouse. I don't see us for changing a lot of things about how we work. I will say the design team works really well together, and we're smooth like butter. So I don't really see any change or hiccups in that
Right.
anywhere in the foreseeable future. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm really excited about what the future brings, just because of the level of talent that we've been getting. It's just it makes our jobs really easy and stressful at the same time, because you want to make sure you're giving them the best.
Right.
So, which makes it really hard. Excuse me, on those things, because you have such a responsibility, because the level of commitment that people make to do these independent groups is absurd. And if designers don't respect that and their efforts and don't set their egos aside, you're damaging that trust, because they know they're putting in the effort. You know what I'm saying? They know that.
Right.
A little backstory, like when Mystique was going to fold in '01, I think. '01. After we got back from Milwaukee, after the Gladiator year, Don was like, "Hey man, we're done. We're not going to do this no more." Just because everybody was going their own directions. We didn't really have a full-time staff, and it was really tough. We weren't in Nashville. We were having to practice like an hour and a half south of Nashville. It was just a lot of problems. I moved to Florida because, hey, I'm on the next thing in my life. I'm going to go to Florida and do massage therapy, whatever. Literally, the moment I get down there, Don's working for Pearl. He sees everybody go over the summer march and drum corps. He's like, all right, we're coming back. We're doing it again. And I'm like, dude, I live in Florida, and the reason why we're in this position is because when we moved an hour away from Nashville, our whole staff quit that was in Nashville, and that happened in 2000. We were rehearsing in Centennial Park for 6 weeks because we didn't have a rehearsal zone outside. Right. It was terrible. So we were getting ready to fall. We found a place. We had to move an hour south, and we had all the staff quit because it was an hour away. Okay, that chapped me pretty good. So here I am, an age out. I'm running the group by myself without the staff and mentors that I've had the past 5 years. A lot of learning lessons. Next year's Gladiator year, awesome membership. We won. We supposedly folded. I went to Florida. We're back up and kicking it again. Now, for 10 years straight, I drive 7 hours one way.
Woo!
Exactly. 10 years straight. I do, and I was in Florida for 12 years. The past couple of years, I didn't come up as often because, my high school group. But that level of commitment that I showed, for me personally, shuttered anything that came before me. You know what I'm saying? As far as getting the group going.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, that was my badge of honor, and nobody could tell me anything different because I was working far beyond what was going on around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as level of commitment. So, fast forward to today, we have members that drive 8 hours every weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
To come there, sweat it out, go back home on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So I connect with that pretty heavily because I experienced it for 10 years, So when I see stuff like that happening, and I know that the staff built that kind of trust and dedication, then I feel like as a staff, we owe it to the members. Because if not, then why are we doing this? So, and I get a little emotional talking about it because it's hard to be in an independent group and deal with the sacrifices that the staff makes. And I know the members go through a lot too, but I mean, their staff members are going in debt doing this. I mean, members do also, but they're also paying for the experience. You know what I'm saying? Like staff members are doing this in blood, sweat, and literal money sometimes to make this happen. Mystique, we're in an okay financial situation, so no staff member here is going in debt. We used to, you know what I'm saying? We used to.
Oh, yeah.
Don and them, yeah, 100%. But that's the sacrifices that you have to make to get these things off the ground. And a lot of people out there aren't willing to make those sacrifices. they only see Mystique 27 years later and go, "Oh, I want that." And I'm like, "But do you really? Do you really want to go through that?" You know, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
but the answer is yeah, I would. I'd do it again every day if I had a chance. You know.